For all the latest community news and events.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community, your radio.
Fylde Council wants to change Wharton's status from a village to a strategic development location as part of a scheme which would see it increase in size by 75%. The proposals include a new secondary school and shops, and they're outlined in the authority's local plan to 2030, subject to public consultation ending on August 22nd. And to tell us more about the concerns of Warton and the residents in Warton, I've got on the line now Mike Wright, and Mike is Chair of Warton Residents Against Poor Planning. So Mike, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Hughie.
Nice to speak to you. Thanks for coming on to the programme. So, tell us first of all about the concerns of residents in Warton. I know there was a meeting held last night, and last year you had a meeting that certainly was attended by lots and lots of villagers. So, tell us what the concerns are, Mike. Yeah,
first of all, I should just say I'm not the chair. I'm not leading this group. I'm one of a number of people who are representing residents of Warton in respect of the local plan and planning applications which are coming in almost weekly. Yes, we had a meeting last night with 4 residents, and the main purpose of the meeting was, well, 2 purposes really. One was to update residents on the progress being made on our neighbourhood plan, which has been launched for public consultation, but also to update residents on the current state of the local plan and individual planning applications, and to suggest to residents what they can do if they are unhappy with the current situation.
And from residents' point of view, what do you understand those plans to be? Because I understand that they have changed somewhat, that the number of houses that was being forecast to be built in Warton has been reduced after petitions by residents. Is that correct?
That's right, yes. I mean, over the last 12 months, 12 months ago we were at loggerheads with the parish council. But now we're working with them because we realise that Borough Council haven't been listened to the parish council, and in particular Cllr Fiddler, who's a portfolio holder, and even the mayor of Fylde have not been listening to what residents really want for Warton. And residents are not against any development. It's the scale of development. As you said, the local plan had envisaged the village turning into a town and increasing by 75%. What we have managed to do over the last 12 months as a result of lobbying Borough Council is to get that number reduced by almost half. Now that's going into the revised local plan, which I think is going to be, Councillor Fiddler will be able to tell you better, but I think is going to be published sometime this month. So we have had a major success there in getting that number reduced, but unfortunately because of the delay in getting the local plan signed off, it's left us wide open to developers who just see it as a green light to submit their planning applications.
Right, and we are going to be, as you said, putting some of your questions and concerns to Councillor Fiddler later in the show. So is the big issue, is the big worry then the fact that you do feel as though you're under attack from various builders in the private enterprise zone who are wanting to move into Warton and build, and maybe you're feeling isolated with little support? Am I putting it correctly there?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just to give you the scale of the problem, we've currently got over 400 houses approved to be built in Warton. Some of that is a lot of that is on brownfield site, which we support. But that's 400 houses to be built over the next few years, and some of that is already built and is occupied. The big worry is that there's another nearly 800 in the system, planning applications which have been submitted over the last few months because developers have seen that the local plan hasn't been finalised, and it's open season on Warton. And Borough Council claim that they're defenceless. They're claiming that it's central government's fault. But on the other hand, Mark Menzies is saying it's not central government's fault. It's within the hands of Fylde Borough Council to determine where they put the houses.
Mm. And I know there's been a new housing development just up past and I can't remember the name of the lane now, where the co-op is in Wharton, just at the top there. There's a new development there.
Meadowview.
Yeah, and
right.
So is the big issues, I mean, because you are going to be accused of NIMBYism, aren't you? So
and I understand that, and as I said at the outset, myself and others and most of the residents aren't against development, but we are getting 400 houses. That's a significant increase in the size of the village. The current size of the village is about 1,600 houses, so it's another 25% we are already getting. It's the further increase, that quantum leap to 1,400 houses, which we're dead against, and everyone is against. And the meeting was good last night in the fact that we managed to update people on the neighbourhood plan, but there was so much anger in the room directed at Cllr Fiddler. If he'd been there, I'd dread to think what would have happened to him.
And as I say, we will put this to him so he has a right of response.
No, I appreciate that, yeah.
So what about, I mean, if these homes are going to be built, what do you understand is going to then be the infrastructure plan for Warton?
It's very, very unclear. I mean, we, at a stakeholder meeting the Fylde Borough Council had last November with, when I say stakeholders, with the likes of developers, landowners, Lancashire County Council, it was clearly stated there that ad hoc development shouldn't go ahead before a proper master plan is put in place to deal with things like highways and drainage. But that master plan hasn't been progressed at all. And the problem with ad hoc developments is that you won't get that master plan approach. You will get piecemeal approaches to highways, minor improvements here, there and everywhere without a major plan being put forward and that plan being financed and put into effect before the houses are built.
I've been looking at the map that quite clearly shows the changes in Warton over recent years and the possible changes that are coming in the future. If these houses get the go-ahead, where are they expected to be built?
There's a major planning application in called Blackfield Green, which is for 360 houses, which is to the west and north of Warton. Now, it's interesting that Fylde Borough Council, and again, I think it's because of the lobbying that the residents have done, they rejected that application yesterday, but the developers have appealed, and it's going to a public inquiry in October. So that we're pleased that Fylde Borough Council rejected that planning application yesterday, but we're not that confident that they will continue to oppose that application. So that's going to a public inquiry in October. There's also a planned application coming for another 375 houses to the east of Warton, coming off the Warton-Freckleton roundabout. That came in 2 weeks ago, but there's been no public consultation on that planned application. Under the Localism Act, applicants are supposed to consult with the community before they submit planning applications. This outline planning application has come in for 375 houses and there's been no public consultation. And then we know that there's another one coming in very shortly. The same developers as Blackfield Green are planning to put an application in for something like 280 houses to the west of Warton. So it's wrapping around Warton completely, and it will increase the size of Warton. If all those were to be put in place, and that would increase the size of Warton by something like 90%, which we understand is pretty unique for the country. I mean, we know these problems are happening all over Lancashire and the country. We know Ribble Valley have got problems in terms of trying to fend off developers. But it is, we think, the scale of the development for Warton, which, like I say, is going to increase it by something like 90%, we think that's unique for the country, never mind the county.
So, Mike, I can understand what you say about the meeting last night being people very emotional. It could be quite angry. What message would you give to the council who are hopefully listening into the programme this morning, and to Cllr Fiddler? What would you like them to do? I mean, how do you as residents want to move forward?
Well, first of all, they need to finalise the local plan. I think the problem with the delay, and there's been a long delay in the local plan, and Trevor Fiddler was saying that's because there's been so many objections to it. Well, clearly there was something wrong with the local plan when it was issued 12 months ago, if it's now taking that long to deal with the consultation. And the problem with that is that you could argue that that local plan has been delayed deliberately by Fylde Borough Council to allow the developers to see it as a green light. Now, I'm sure Trevor will say different to that. But so first of all, get that local plan issued and get it adopted. But consistency, we have been to the planning meetings and we've seen the committee who've overturned officers' recommendations to reject planning applications at Staining and Mowbray, but the very same reasons have been used to accept planning applications for Riversley in particular recently in Warton. So there's a lack of consistency there. And really, I suppose one of the major problems we see and residents see is that lack of consultation, the lack of empathy, if you like. We hear Trevor Fiddler, we hear the mayor of Fylde being quite critical of Warton, saying it's an ugly place. It's just a crossroads. That's coming directly from the mayor of Fylde, and he's supposed to be representing all the residents of Fylde. So consistency, fair play, I would say.
Well, Mike, can I thank you for talking to us this morning? We at Preston FM, of course, will be following this continuing story with interest. And thank you for putting me right about your position that you're a member of Warton Residents Against Poor Planning. And I would take it then from last night's meeting that there's going to be future meetings coming up quite soon.
Yes, we want to finalise the neighbourhood plan, because the neighbourhood plan will give us some weight when it comes to planning applications. It's a bit like the local plan. As soon as that's adopted, then that carries weight. As soon as we can get our neighbourhood plan adopted, that will carry weight when it comes to Fylde Borough Council considering planning applications. So, that's key really for us to take this piece of work forward and get it finalised with, as you say, taking on board the comments and input from the community. Okay,
well, Mike, thank you for talking to us this morning, and to the residents of Warton, keep with us at Preston FM and we will follow this story. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for the opportunity.
If you've got news, views or events you'd like to share with us and the Chat City team, why not give us an email? chatcity@preston.fm.